Well, Movie Net, Saturday, 10:30 p.m., W5FC. FC.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet. And does anyone need to use a repeater before we begin tonight? Skynet! This is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name is Tom, and I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic. We encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break and your call sign enthusiastically. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Please come now. This is a directed net, so please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me, and stations that remind us ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on this frequency. In case you wondered, it's channel 13. No, it's not. It's 146.880 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or the ever-popular Echolink node at 37247. Tonight's topic, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. You can go to w5fc.org right now for a complete list. Please remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is about 90 minutes long. It is structured in a bunch of parts. We have general announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, space exploration and space history. Was up? Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week, which is this week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A in the 73 round. Will we get to all of them? Probably not, but we're going to do the best we can. I'm going to go ahead and take low power short time check-ins this evening. If you're one of those, please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low power short time.
India 5, Gulf Romeo Hotel, low power.
Number 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William in Allen, short time.
All right, I got two stations. I got Kilo Echo 5, Gulf Romeo Hotel. I didn't get the name. If you don't mind, can I get your name if you're low power short time? About that. Kilo India 5, Gulf Romeo Hotel. This is Melissa in Dallas, low power. my hearing aids down. I got Kilo India 5, Golf Romeo Hotel, low power. One more time on your name. I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble this evening.
It's Melissa in Dallas, and I think my battery is getting low on my AZ. Kilo India 5, Golf Romeo Hotel.
Very good. I got you that time, Melissa. Yes, I got you down. Battery's okay. I think it's my hearing. Next, I've got N5WOI. That's William over an Allen short time. Any additional low power short time, please come down. Okie dokie, let me go ahead to general check-ins. Please come now with your call sign name and where you're transmitting from.
KI6LZQ via Echolink, Dallas, Texas.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Mesquite.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto.
Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray Kelly in Portland.
Go Niner Victor, Michael, and Plano.
Is Kilo Golf 5, Echo India Uniform David, St. Paul, Texas.
Kilo India 5, Golf Romeo Lima, low power. I missed the first check-in. Sorry about that. Chandler in Dallas, Texas.
Joe and Wally.
All right, let me go ahead and get those check-ins. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with the repeater this evening. I'm getting a lot of noise, but everyone is readable. I've got Kilo Golf 5 Papa. That's Mike over in Richardson. K5JHA, Jazz and Mesquite. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda DeSoto. KPX, Miss Kelly in Quinlan. WT9V, Michael in Plano. KG5EIU, David in St. Paul. And KI5GRL, that's Chandler, low power in Dallas. Now, I had another station. I got Joe and Wiley. Can I get your call sign, please?
India X-Ray, Joe and Wally.
Hey, Joe, it got cut off again. I got X-ray on your call. Go ahead and give me your call sign twice. I think it's just the repeater's slow this evening, so try one more time, Joe.
Zulu India X-Ray, Kilo Golf 5, Zulu India X-Ray, Joe and Wally.
Gotcha that time, Joe. Kilo Golf 5, Zulu India X-Ray, Joe over in Wiley. Additional check-ins, please come now.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
KI KI6LZQ by Echo Link. Michael, Dallas.
All right, I got two more on that one. I got K5ZBL, Mr. Bill over in Farmers Branch, and I got Michael, KI6LZQ on Echolink, also in Dallas. So I will turn my attention to exactly that, Echolink. Additional check-ins over Echolink. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. I will give you extra time, I promise, so that you can check in. Echolink only, please come now.
Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weatherford.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5 Papa Delta Sierra Billy in Sherman.
Okie dokie, let me get those two check-ins. I got Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J near Weatherford, and K5 PDS, Miss Billy over in Sherman. I'll now open it up to anyone, anywhere, any place, any mode. Please come now with your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from. That's okay. A little bit of a slow start, but I'm sure it'll pick up steam as we go. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? They can be of interest to ham radio operators, astronomy, space, or general interest to licensed hands. Anybody who'd like to, please come now with your call sign. All right, I'll go ahead and give a few announcements. Don't forget, coming up is for Thanksgiving Day we have the Dallas YMCA Turkey Trot. The Dallas Amateur Radio Club does help with that. If you're interested in that, it's actually kind of a fun event. Oh, it's a very fun event. City Hall for Dallas, and you will be assigned a location, although we prefer that you go ahead and check in first. Over here at the W5FC.org website, you can get the information. The Dallas Marathon is one of the bigger events here in Dallas, having to do with a public service. So I think we're still looking for a few people, so if you're interested, if you've never done a public service event, the Dallas Marathon is the Turkey Trot is a very good place to start. So go to W5FC.org and get complete information on that. Don't be shy. Check it out. If you have any questions, do the same. Go to the website, ask away. We also have the Dallas Marathon coming up. That's 2 weeks after that, in December. This one is still looking for additional communicators. This is a big event as well. It is another marathon. It used to be the White Rock Marathon. Now it's the Dallas Marathon. That one is televised. It's on TV live, and you can get all sorts of information about it. So please go to W5FC.org. Take a look under the TechNet news for this evening. There's information and hot links to all of the locations. It's a lot of fun. Please decide to participate. Now, one of the things we always mention every week, and it's actually a pretty darn good net, is there is the two nets of the AMSAT group, which is the Radio Amateur Satellite Group. They have two nets available to Dallas residents on Tuesday evenings at 8 o'clock. You'll need Echolink installed because this net is local out of Houston, but it is available on the Echolink system. You can go to AMSAT, that's the name of the group, AMSAT, A-M-S-A-T, and you can check in there if you have Echolink privileges, or you can go to amsatnet.com the night of the net and listen in. You can also listen to and be a part of the local network. We do have one of those, Dallas AMSAT Net, is Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater. That's 147.140 megahertz. It also has a private line tone of 110 decibel 9er with a positive offset. Don't forget about the Dallas Amateur Radio Club and all the different nets that are available there. I'm probably not going to go through them. Let's see here. Maybe, let's see. I'll go ahead and put them up on the video if you want to watch them. Don't forget, we have nets here on this repeater 7 days a week. There is the ARRL National Traffic System net that's from 6:30 until 7 o'clock. On Mondays, we have alternating nets. First week is Ham Fixin'. Second week is MCOM 101. Third week is Ham Fixin's net again. I believe that's the one coming up this coming Monday. There's a fourth week net called Geek Net, where we talk about any and everything that's geeky. That's always a fun net. And then Saturday is the night of nets. Yep, that's where we get together, and 6:30 is Traffic Net, 7 o'clock is Tech Net, which we already had, and 9 o'clock is Skynet, and then at 10:30 this evening is the Afterglow Movie Net, and I'll give you the information on that right now. The aircraft climbed out of the airport, and the captain's voice came on the intercom. This is Captain Endicott. I want to thank you for flying with us today. You will note I've turned on the no driving sign indicating the plane is flying itself. Since I only have a driver's permit, we cannot afford a real pilot. I'm sure the automated system by Microsoft will work perfectly. We know you had a choice in airlines today, and you chose the cheapest airline in this industry. So please sit back, relax, and be aware we have a sale on seatbelts and oxygen on this flight. Just wave your hands frantically, and a flight attendant will come by, take your money, and give you a squirt of oxygen. Welcome aboard! November is Crappy Television Series Month, and this one is no exception. We have The Lone Gunman from 2001. The first episode, S1E01, is called Pilot. Yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it? At 10:30 p.m. All right, let's see. Somehow I forgot the Texas. Wow, what did I do here? My notes are messed up. That's okay. Let's do this. Does any additional check-ins now while I mess up? Anybody who'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from.
Alpha 5 Alpha Hotel, Robert and Richardson.
Okay, I got you. Alpha 5 Alpha Hotel, Robert over in Richardson, welcome back. Next up, and I don't know why I removed it, the National Space Society of Dallas. Usually Bill, N5DB, would go ahead and give us an announcement on that. I don't know why it's missing from my script this evening. I must have messed up. But Bill, N5DB, I see you out there. I don't know if you're checked in. If you are, I will
I'll go ahead and yield the net to you. If you've got anything for us this evening, please come now. All right, he may be indisposed. I usually have a script here with links and everything else, and for some reason it's missing this evening. I think I messed up on my editing. But anyway, go to the National Space Society of North Texas. You'll get the information there through Google. Go to the website. You'll find out the latest and greatest of what's going on with the National Space Society. They have they have a meeting once a month. I think it's the fourth Sunday. I'm going by memory here. But check them out. It's always interesting. They get some interesting people. They've had astronauts. They've had folks that work with mission control, and they've had folks that talk about the futures of space flight. National Space Society of North Texas. It is, I believe, the #1 chapter of the National Space Society. So let me move on. We have Texas Astronomical Society of Events. Chaz is probably going to give us the information on that later on. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on because he has a presentation this evening and he does mention it. I will though ask, there is a TAS Star Party this evening, I believe, and that would be, let me look and see where that would be. That would be Cedar Hill Star Party. That's located at 1605 High Point Lane in Cedar Hill. Is there anyone on frequency that may be at the Star Party? At the Star Party, please come now.
Inside BD, trying to shut in Tom, correct you.
All right, Bill, I just see your note here, but go ahead. N5BB from KE5ICX.
Yes, I really didn't want to log in because it's so noisy here, but the National Space Society North Texas chapter next meeting will be in January. Our meetings are the second Sunday of each month, except for December. The January meeting will be on the second Sunday of January, 3:30 p.m. at the Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving, Highway 183 and Beltline. Our January meeting is always a members-only Christmas party at a different location. Thank you, and 5BD.
Okay, okie dokie. Thank you, Bill. And now I found it. I guess it was the next shot here. You can get additional information about the National Space Society of North Texas by going to nssofnt.org. Okay, thank you, Bill. And so they return to regular meetings starting in January. And this is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight, Skynet. What I wanted to talk about this evening, since I'm net control, I get to do cool things, and that is pick whatever topic I want, and I did. I picked a topic involving a new television show that is over on Apple Plus TV. This is a new streaming service from, you guessed it, Apple Computer, and it's called For All Mankind. So I kind of wrote a little article or a review of it, as well as picked up some good information from a great website called Collect Space. You can decide which part's mine and which part's there. But if you want to, you can go ahead and follow along on w5fc.org. You see some of the pictures from the website and the television show. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Being the space nerd that I am, and having grown up in the thick of the race to the moon, I was very interested in the latest streaming service, Apple Plus, and there was a highly super secret project called For All Mankind. It's a tale of what if, essentially. What would have happened if the let me back up here. It's a tale similar to the What If series now finishing up on Netflix, which is called The Man in the High Castle, which, by the way, just started Friday for its fourth season, which tells the what if story of the Allied forces have lost World War II and what world domination and the actions of evil really would look like. Personally, I'm pretty sure the producers of For All Mankind had High Castle, the popular streaming series, in mind when they decided upon this alternate telling of landing on the moon. So what is the series about, and how has it played out so far? I'll try to give as much information as I can without giving too much away. The good news is I've only seen 5 of the 10 episodes which have aired on the new streaming service. I'll be speculating on some parts of the series and where it's going. It's an alternate retelling of the first man on the moon. We see a divergence from what is historical fact and the revised fiction which catapults the series, Apollo and its pivotal characters in bold new directions. The opening sequence shows the world glued to their television sets as the first man is about to walk on the moon in the summer of 1969. But it's pretty obvious something is wrong. Stone-faced Americans sit silently in bars in front of television sets at home in Houston Mission Control and in Times Square as a Walter Cronkite knockoff describes the scene. The ghostly image on the screen shows an astronaut as he descends the ladder to take his first steps on the moon. The voice is Russian, and it's obvious we're not seeing Neil Armstrong, but as it turns out, Alexei Leonov, the famous first spacewalker, and now the first man to walk on the moon. He does so, quote, for all mankind, and hoists the Soviet flag with a smart salute, with Americans devastated. We are introduced to the usual Apollo era luminaries, pun intended. We have Deke Slayton, the grounded astronaut heading up the astronaut corps, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who were supposed to be the first Americans on the moon, John Glenn, the first American astronaut to orbit the Earth, Al Bean and Pete Conrad, who would follow Apollo 11 with their Apollo 12 mission to the moon. But as with everything about this series, there's a shuffling and departure from the norm. Instead of Apollo 10 astronauts Tom Stafford and Gene Cernan, we have 2 fictional astronauts who, quite honestly, are an amalgam of every astronaut from the 1960s space program. But they're important to our story because, well, had Apollo 10 disobeyed rules and actually landed on the moon, the good old USA would have been first to land. Space race closed, we win. There's plenty of angst to go around as the crew and their true feelings emerge throughout the series. In a flashback, we see crew members Edward Baldwin and Gordo Stevens fly their mission down to within 47,000 feet of the moon. They look at each other, wondering if the other would flinch and maybe continue the landing. Baldwin instead jettisons the descent module and ignites the ascent module, and Apollo's 10 mission objective is achieved. We flash forward to the Soviet space mission and see Gene Kranz in his customary white vest, although it's obvious there's no mission going on, and flight controllers watch helplessly as Leonov hops around on the moon. So what are some of the changes between our reality and For All Mankind? Some are significant, others curious, and some downright amazing. But before I go into that, I want to make note of who is producing the series and why that makes the series so spacewalk-worthy. First off, the series is created, written, and produced by Ronald D. Moore. Moore is best known for his work on Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine. He's a compelling storyteller and spacewalk just like us. He's also a guy who brought back Battlestar Galactica as a series many of us wanted but never got from the original, the disco-ized series from 1979. And this brings another element of importance for all mankind. Moore also respected the lore and details from the original BSG, providing details and plot points so loved by original BSG fans, such as myself, you knew he cared and wanted his creation to shine, but also respect the original material. Guess what? He's done the same thing here, creating an alternate reality, NASA, so in line with the real thing, you sometimes have to Google details just to see if it's real or something he cooked up for a script. A mission control set so perfect you cannot tell the difference from the real thing. The set design is very 1960s. The Manned Mission Control Center, where our fictional missions are controlled, is indistinguishable from the real thing. The ceiling tiles, floor carpet, green consoles, and CRT mission readouts are as perfect as can be imagined. Denise and Michael Okuda are included in the series as well. They too worked with Moore on Star Trek, and they bring their own dedication to NASA's alternate history, provided through their detailed and accurate set dressings and designs matching perfectly the missions and alternate missions expressed in the series. On a side note, all the mission emblems in 1969 are properly lined along the MCC walls and are in the correct order. But what I love the most is the absence of the American flag on the right side of the MCC. This may seem like a minor thing, but the flag has hung from the right side of the center since Apollo 12. It was the flag which went to the moon on Apollo 11 and returned and then displayed at the center. Of course, our Apollo 11 mission has yet to leave, and the flag is nowhere to be found. Detailed continuity is a go flight. Deep reassurance the series will, when it departs from the normal history, that every detail is on purpose and not a blatant error, so easy to spot in less reverent television series or movies depicting Apollo flights. Don't even get me started about roll patterns from the movie Apollo 13. Now onto the characters. In real life, NASA astronauts corps numbered more than 50 men, including 4 of the original Mercury 7 by June of 1969. In For All Mankind, it is not clear how many of the real-life astronauts are part of the program. We know Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, as portrayed by Jeff Branson, Chris Agos, and Ryan Kennedy, are still there to crew Apollo 11. Pete Conrad and Charlie Duke are referred to by name, and Deke Slayton is a central character, as he is in reality as director of flight crew operations. From what is said, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee are still tragically the victims of a fire on the launch pad while preparing for their Apollo 1 mission. This is KE5ICX, and this is Skynet. Among the missing, though, is Alan Shepard, America's first astronaut in space. In real life, Shepard had been grounded for his suborbital Mercury flight due to an ear disorder, but returned to flight status in May of 1969. For All Mankind leaves Shepard's status unclear. Glad Al Shepard is not here today, says Slayton in the first episode, with no other indication if it is temporary or permanent absence. Other astronauts have been replaced by fictional characters. The Apollo 10 crew is introduced as Edward Baldwin and Gordo Stevens instead of Thomas Stafford and Gene Cernan. The Apollo 10's third crew member, supplanting John Young, is only seen by last name as an altered mission Pat called Talmadge. In addition to the astronauts, several real-life figures from NASA management are portrayed in For All Mankind, though not all the roles are what they actually held. Thomas Paine, NASA's administrator in 1969, is played by Dan Donahue. Flight controller Gene Kranz leads the white team in mission control, as he did in reality, as played by Eric Layton. In Episode 3, Nixon's women, Shorty Powers, appears as NASA's public affairs officer. The real Powers served in that role, but only during the Mercury program. He left NASA in 1963. His Apollo counterparts were Julian Scheer, Doug Ward, and John McLeish, who are all omitted from the series. Other Apollo leaders absent from For All Mankind include spacecraft program manager George Lowe and Robert Gilruth, the director of the Manned Spacecraft Center, known today as the Johnson Space Center. Both men's roles were folded into the series' depiction of another high-profile NASA official. Werner von Braun, the German rocket scientist who led the development of the Saturn V moon booster, is reassigned in For All Mankind from the Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama to serving as the director of the MSC in Houston. I missed the barbecue back in Huntsville, he says, portraying von Braun. The series von Braun also stands in for real-life MSC deputy director in 1969, Chris Kraft, who is also absent. One other change is the presence of Margot Madison as an engineer working in mission control. She's a fictional character, but in an early scene in the first episode, she offers a nod to reality. As she heads to the Mission Operations Control Center, Madison says good morning to another woman, Poppy, as she passes her in the hallway. Poppy is almost certainly a reference to the real first woman to work in the technical role at the Apollo Mission Control Center, Poppy Northcutt. There are many more changes to space history that come as a result of the Soviet moon landing in For All Mankind, but there are a few more details that cannot be traced back to the pivotal event in the series. The astronauts retired to the Outpost Tavern as their local bar. The Outpost was a real place and popular NASA hangout until it went out of business in 2009. A fire destroyed the building a year later, but did not become the Outpost until 1981. At the time of the Apollo missions, it was known as Fort Terry's, the Universal Joint. Mention is made of two Soviet N-1 rocket test launches, one in January and the other in June of 1969, the latter carrying Leonov to the moon. In reality, there was only one launch up to that date on February 21st, 1969, that failed 70 seconds into the flight. The next attempt, which failed at liftoff, took place on July 3rd. The Soviets tried once more with launches in June of 1971 and June and November of 1972, both of which ended in failure. The Apollo 10 mission patch referred to earlier is not the only insignia to change prior to Leonov's moonwalk. The NASA logo, affectionately referred to as the meatball, is also the same For All Mankind as it is in real life, but its red vector points in the opposite direction. There is no in-universe explanation for this change. According to Ronald Moore, it was done by the production to avoid needing the real NASA's permission for use. Personally, I think it's simply because we are working in another universe, and with Moore's connection to Star Trek, the mirror universe is what he's referring to. I've not seen any goatees on any NASA personnel, but rest assured, I'll let you know. Some of the interesting technical differences in the series are quickly spotted in the preview and also in the series itself. In a future episode as yet unaired, we see an S-4B second stage in orbit around the Earth. Command Service Module flanks it with astronauts floating around the two rendezvous spacecraft, attempting some sort of elaborate modification to both vehicles. As I mentioned, there's no massive mistakes in this series. The S-4B was used as a second stage for the Earth Orbital Booster Saturn 1B and as the third stage for the Saturn V. The Earth Orbital version used 3 vertical rockets and a hash pattern at the engine thrust structure, which matched the first stage's alternate paint scheme. Also, the second stage had letters USA in red on the outside. It's known as the 200 series S-4B. So why would NASA fly such a rocket when it's very obvious they graduated to advanced Saturn V missions? A good question. It's not an accident. The 200 series would be pressed into service for the Skylab missions, which were all Earth orbital, but they had dropped the alternating black and white scheme for an all-white first stage, which allowed for even cooling of the whole spacecraft. This is obviously not a Skylab-configured flight. Also, the Apollo 11 mission doesn't go completely to plan, and there's some issues with the landing and loss of communications with the spacecraft. This leaves the NASA top brass deciding to bring Michael Collins home, alone, without the crew, only to have their conversation interrupted by Neil and Buzz saying that they are on the moon. Dodged that bad decision by seconds. Another interesting aside is the emission of the Apollo 12 lightning strike, which disabled the command service module as it headed to orbit. In fact, in this version of the storytelling, the Apollo Saturn V leaves Earth in blue skies. But you'll learn more about the real mission in the next segment on space history. So in closing, I just wanted to mention the series, who is involved, and how dedicated the cast and crew are in creating a credible alternate history, one where the space program doesn't just end, but is accelerated with breakneck speed to establishing moon bases and missions to Mars. What could have been will be explained. The 10-part series is available for streaming on Apple Plus online. I'm sure they will put out a Blu-ray and DVD collection sometime after the series concludes its streaming in late December. And this is KE5ICX. I'm net control for Skynet. Does anyone have any questions? Please come down with your call sign. All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and ask if there's any additional check-ins. Please come down with your call sign name and where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington.
Kilo Golf 5, Zulu Lima Mike, Hector in Fort Worth via Echolink.
Is Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WV4MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power.
All right, got 3 more check-ins. I've got KG5ZMG, Joe in Dallas, KG5ZLM, that's Hector in Fort Worth. I got WB4MFI, Ted in Dallas, low power. Any additional check-ins, please come now. All All right, we'll go ahead and move to the next section of the net, which is space exploration and space history. Miss Kelly, K5KTX, this is your segment. The net is yours.
Thank you, Tom. This is K5KTX, and for those of you over on Echo Link, there's quite a different things that happen over on Echo Link. So I'm 1 point, Bill has 1 point, and I'm going to have to give it up, I guess, so I can do my segment. So anyway, back to business at hand. Yesterday, European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmentano, who is the commander of Expedition 61, and NASA astronaut Andrew Morgan completed the first in a series of historic extravehicular activities, or EVAs, taking place in the next few weeks. The spacewalks are to service the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, or AMS, a dark matter hunter that is providing researchers with data on cosmic ray particles well beyond its 3-year mission. Installed outside the International Space Station in 2011, the instrument has recorded over 140 billion particles to date, along with their mass, velocity, and charge, and direction. This data is helping scientists track down and understand the sources of dark matter and invisible energy that makes up roughly 90% of the universe. As expected, the harsh environment of space began to wear down the facility. One by one, the cooling pumps, keeping a vital detector at a constant temperature, began to fail, affecting the data collection. Plans for spacewalks to upgrade the pumps have been in the making for years to keep the science going. Never intended to be serviced in orbit, the AMS maintenance will be complex. For starters, AMS-02 has over 300,000 data channels. There are also no handrails or foot restraints installed around the instrument to access the cooling system that needs maintenance. New tools are also needed, as astronauts have never cut and reconnected fluid lines in a bulky spacesuit before. The astronauts trained well in advance for these spacewalks at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. New tools and procedures were extensively tested, with a lot of know-how drawn from the last series of complex spacewalks to extend the life of a valuable space instrument, the Hubble Space Telescope. Now that the latest Cygnus cargo supply mission has brought the final tools needed, Luca and NASA astronaut Andrew Morgan are ready to go. Luca played the leading role as EV-1, wearing a white spacesuit with red stripes, while Andrew wore the white spacesuit with no stripes. It was the first time a European astronaut has held the lead position. The pair were supported by NASA astronauts Christina Cook and Jessica Meir, who operated the Canadarm2 robotic arm from inside the station. This helped position the astronauts around the hard-to-reach work site, located on top of the station's S3 truss structure between a pair of solar arrays and radiators. The entire spacewalk lasted for 6 hours and 39 minutes and set the scene for at least 3 more. The next spacewalk is scheduled for next Friday, November 22nd. If you want to learn more about the AMS, I highly recommend that you listen to the last 2 episodes of Houston. We have a podcast for in-depth discussions on the experiment. I found that they were very interesting. Now we're going to move a long ways from the International Space Station way out to Neptune. Even by the wild standards of the outer solar system, the strange that carry Neptune's 2 innermost moons are unprecedented, according to newly published research. Orbital dynamics experts are calling it a dance of avoidance, performed by the tiny moons Naiad and Thalassa. The 2 are true partners, orbiting only about 150 miles apart, but they never get that close to each other. Naiad's orbit is tilted and perfectly timed. Every time it passes the slower-moving Thalassa, the 2 are about 2,200 miles apart. In this perpetual choreography, Naiad swirls around the ice giant every 7 hours, while Thalassa on the outside track takes 7.5 hours. An observer sitting on Thalassa would see Naiad in an orbit that varies wildly in a zigzag pattern, passing by twice from above and then twice from below. This up, down, down pattern repeats every time Naiad gains 4 laps on Thalassa. Although the dance may appear odd, it keeps the orbit stable, researchers said. Talassa are small and shaped like Tic Tacs, spanning only about 60 miles in length. They are two of Neptune's 7 inner moons, part of a closely packed system that is interwoven with faint rings. So how did they end up together, but apart? It's thought that the original light system was disrupted when Neptune captured its giant moon Triton, and that these inner moons and rings formed from the leftover debris. Be sure to visit NASA.gov for more information on this story and a link to the research paper. Space history this week. On November the 10th, back in 2008, communication with the Mars Phoenix lander ended just over 5 months after it reached the surface. With the shorter days and colder nights experienced at its landing site near the Martian North Pole, Phoenix had little hope of keeping its power on as the Martian winter closed in. However, the mission team was anything but disappointed. Phoenix was originally only designed to last 90 days, but it survived in the Martian cold for 169 days. Phoenix touched down near the northern pole on May 25, 2008. Data from Phoenix showed us the first recorded snowfall on Mars, that there is water ice just under the surface of the polar region, and provided evidence that there was liquid water on the surface long ago. Now frozen and silent on the Martian surface, the Phoenix lander was one of many steps on our journey to Mars. On November the 11th, way back in 1966, Gemini 12 lifts off as the 10th and final crewed Gemini flight and the 18th crewed American space flight. The mission included Gemini 7 veteran Jim Lovell and rookie Edwin Buzz Aldrin. The mission featured 3 EVAs by Aldrin, lasting a total of 5 hours and 30 minutes. It also achieved the 5th rendezvous and 4th docking with an Agena target vehicle. Gemini 12 marked a successful conclusion of the Gemini program, achieving the last of its goals while successfully demonstrating that astronauts can effectively work outside the spacecraft. This was instrumental in paving the way for the Apollo program to achieve its goal of landing a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s. And I can't believe it's already been 5 years, but on November the 12th, 2014, the European Space Agency's Philae lander touched down on the nucleus of Comet 67P. Although Philae's separation from its parent craft Rosetta was successful, as was its descent to 67P, Philae failed to anchor itself to the comet at its desired landing site. The lander bounced, not once, but twice, off the surface with almost enough force to escape the comet's gravitational pull. It landed in less desirable terrain than planned, and yet Philae was surprisingly still intact. The final landing site at Philae wasn't discovered for almost 2 years when Rosetta was finally able to confirm its resting place on the smaller lobe of 67P. Despite its rough landing, Philae still recovered useful data about the surface and atmospheric composition of 67P. On September 30th, 2016, the Rosetta mission came to a conclusion when the parent craft also settled down on 67P after a highly successful mission. On November the 14th, back in 1969, 50 years ago, Apollo from Kennedy Space Center with astronauts Charles P. Conrad, Richard Gordon, and Alan Bean. Only 36 seconds after launch, ground control lost contact with flight telemetry data. Another 16 seconds and contact broke again. The Saturn V rocket had just been struck by lightning twice. The Saturn V rocket itself was largely unaffected and continued on the planned path to orbit. But the command module electrical systems were tripped offline, and the crew would have been in real trouble once they got into orbit if it weren't for the quick thinking of 26-year-old John Aaron at Mission Control. Aaron knew that changing the position of a single switch, the signal conditioning equipment, or SCE switch, would restore command module power. Approximately 50 seconds after his screen had first scrambled, he calmly issued a suggestion to his Mission Control colleagues: try SCE to aux. After reaching orbit, Mission Control and the crew found no permanent damage and proceeded on with their mission, the second human landing on the moon. And finally, also on November the 14th, back in 1988, well, actually it was November the 15th in Russia, The Soviet Union launched their space shuttle Buran for the first and only time. The spacecraft, whose name means snowstorm in Russian, flew this test flight without crew. Further flights were planned, but after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, the Buran program was canceled. The Buran orbiter was put in storage at Baikonur Cosmodrome and was severely damaged when the roof of the storage building collapsed in 2002. And that's all I've got this evening. This is K5KTX. Back to you, Tom.
Very good. Thank you, Miss Kelly. And just a note, I got one of those Facebook guys, one of Mark Lauer, one of my buddies, who is also kind of crazy in love with the space program, just like you and I, got to meet John at at an event today in a small town up in Oklahoma City. John is originally from somewhere near Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sorry, boy, losing my mind. Well, that's normal. I think it rolled under the sofa. Okay, this is KE5ICX, and this is Skynet. So the next thing we have up is Chaz, KF5JHA. Chaz, what do you got for us that's up in the air from KE5ICX?
Evening, everyone. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree is in astrophysics. Work at Brookhaven Community College, and we call this segment of Skynet What's Up. I'll let you know that the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas does have monthly meetings on the fourth Friday of each month. That would be January through October. Usually the November meeting is on the third Friday because the fourth Friday would put it right after Thanksgiving. But this year, the fourth Friday of November is before Thanksgiving. So we do have our meeting next Friday, in other words, 6 days from now. And that's located at the University of Texas at Dallas. That's on Campbell Road in the Science Learning Center, the lecture hall on the first floor. It starts at 7:30. There's usually some sort of activity that happens at 7 o'clock, so arrive early if you'd like. Make sure you park in parking lot H in the gold or orange zone. Any other location, you may receive a ticket. If you have any questions about that, you can find more information at texasastro.org. Also, on the every Saturday night, we have telescope set up somewhere in the Metroplex. On the first Saturday of each month, it's the Spring Park Stargazer Star Party in Garland. On the second Saturday of each month, that is the Frisco Starfest at Frisco Commons Park in Frisco. And on the third Saturday, which is this evening, the Cedar Hill Starbolt at J.W. Williams Park. But I believe that didn't happen because of the clouds this evening. And next week, next Saturday, is Stars on the Rock. That's at the Shores Park in Rockwall. So if you want to find out what you can see through a telescope, go to one of those observing sites. Also, we have observing stations usually for several months out of the year at the Historical Park in Farmers Branch. All this information, once again, is located on the Texas Astronomical website, texasastro.org. Remember that Skynet is not only available on the Dallas repeater, 146.88 megahertz with a private line tone of 110.9, but also available to hands across the world via Echolink. And most of the week, Skynet also has a video component. You can find those links for the video on the w5fc.org website. So, with radio, Echolink, and video, I say that Skynet is in 3D. But my Tony, NT5TM, I think I see him over on Echolink, says we are in 4D because of the dimension of time. By the way, what goes on in the chat window at Echolink and what is being done on the video might have nothing to do with what's being talked about on the radio. So to get the full 3D, or rather 4D version of Skynet, you must be monitoring all three areas at the same time. And yes, we've been having a contest, and there's a three-way tie for first place with points being awarded. Okay, you've got to go on the chat window of Echolink to find out what's going on. Unfortunately, the predicted clouds and rain prevented us here in North Texas from direct viewing of the transit of Mercury. At Brookhaven, we watch the live streaming from SLU website, which had an updated image about once a minute from the Canary Islands. We also had a live feed from Norway for a while, but then it eventually clouded up and then the sun set there. I tried to watch an almost live feed from NASA's SDO, that's the Solar Dynamic Observatory, but too many people had the same idea for that site, and the site really updated regularly. So we get to wait until May 7th, the year 2049, for our next attempt at a transit of Mercury here in North Texas. Yes, I know there's one in 2032 and 2039, but that's not visible from here in the United States. And I am KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Hey, last week I gave you homework to do. Did you do your homework assignment? Did you try looking for Venus around 6 p.m. low in the southwestern sky? Over the last couple of weeks, I've been catching views of Venus low in the southwestern sky. In fact, I saw it last night and tonight around 5:45. Even if you observe Venus over this last week, I want you to try again this week every night that it's clear. First, you'll need a southwestern sky that allows you to see clear down to the horizon. The sun sets a little bit before 5:30 Central Standard Time. And then you can start looking about 5:40. I saw it at 5:40 this evening. That object that was pretty bright in the southwestern sky, it's not blinking, it's not moving really fast, not like an airplane, but rather it's an object that just gets a little bit closer to the horizon over a few minutes. If you have a pair of binoculars, you can take a look at it, and you won't see any flashing lights on it like an airplane. And that non-flashing object should be the planet Venus. The object further to the east, or the last, a little bit higher, is the planet Jupiter. Depending on the type of binoculars you have and how steady you hold them, you might see 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of the Galilean moons. Since the moons are in constant motion, a simple free computer software program such as Stellarium is required to identify which moon is what in order from the planet outward. The reason why I want you to watch Venus over the next week is because a week from now, on November the 23rd and 24th, the planet Venus and Jupiter will be in conjunction. In other words, they're getting close to each other. They'll be right next to each other in a week. Watching the two planets getting closer and closer each evening this week will be a lot of fun to do. Saturn is higher and further to the east, the upper left of Jupiter, and it is fainter than Jupiter. If you have a high-powered pair of binoculars, you might get a hint of Saturn's rings. Saturn and Jupiter will be in conjunction with each other next year in May, but they will be in very close conjunction to each other on December the 20th, the year 2020. In other words, a little bit more than a year from now. In fact, on December the 20th, 2020, Saturn and Jupiter will be so close together that they will appear as one object in the sky with just your two eyes. I'll cover this event and much more in my preview of the year 2020 astronomical event that I'll try to do when I'm net control in a couple of weeks on Skynet. We should see things a lot more clearly next year since it is the year 2020. Get it? There's another almost visible to the naked eye planet in the sky right now, Uranus. It is located in the constellation of Aries, close to the border of Pisces. I recommend the computer software program Stellarium, and that's the one I mentioned earlier, to get a good idea of exactly where it is in the sky. You'll need a pair of binoculars to find it. But back in January of 2011, the planet Jupiter was right beside Uranus. In fact, they were in the same telescopic field of view using a low magnification eyepiece. So Uranus was an easy target back then in the year 2011. Now, I've talked about Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. Would you like to try to find one more planet? I know I've done this several times. Look down at your feet. Do you see it? The Earth. I know, these jokes are well grounded. And I am KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. If you go outside tonight, right now, if it were clear, you would see the constellation of Orion rising in the east. 3 stars, all in about the same brightness, equally spaced, makes up the belt of Orion. From the bottom to the top, their names are Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Mintaka is actually a double star. It's a neat thing to see through a telescope. To the north, or to the left of the belt stars, are the 2 shoulder stars, Bellatrix and Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is the eastern shoulder, and Bellatrix is the western shoulder. To the right of the belt stars, in other words, to the south, you can see the stars representing Orion's knees, Rigel and Sciath. Rigel is the western knee star, and Sciath is the eastern knee star. In between the belt stars and the knee stars is the sword of Orion. In the middle of the sword is the famous Orion Nebula, a birthplace of stars. Now, while observing M42, which is also called the Orion Nebula, be sure to be quiet so you don't wake up those baby stars that are in the nursery. Orion, you can find Taurus the Bull. The sideways letter V-shaped group of stars makes up his face. Above the V shape is the famous Pleiades star cluster that represents the bull's shoulders. Only the front part of the bull, Taurus, is represented in the sky, so I guess there's not a lot of bull in the sky, just half a bull. Seeing these 2 constellation friends of mine remind me that winter is getting close. Of course, the 21-degree temperature on Tuesday morning helped me, well, be reminded of the fact that winter is approaching as well. Moon was full on November the 12th, so tonight the phase of the moon is waning gibbous. The moon will be at its 3rd quarter phase on November the 19th. It will be at its new phase on November the 26th. Now, November is one of the active meteor shower months. A minor meteor shower, the northern toroids. Remember where the constellation of Taurus is? The meteors seem to originate from that. That's why it's called the toroids. They peaked on the night, well, they peaked a few nights ago on November 11th and 12th with about 5 meteors or so per hour. The famous Leonid meteor shower peaks tomorrow night, November 17th and 18th, with a couple of dozen meteors. The Leonid meteor shower is famous for producing meteor storms with over 400 meteors per hour about every 30 years. But we probably need to wait until the year 2030 for the next predicted meteor storm, although it could come a year or 2 earlier. Alpha Monoceros meteor shower will be peaking on the night of November 20th, 21st, with about 5 meteors per hour, but at times it has had a meteor storm outburst of over 400 meteors per hour. There is a prediction that this year could be one of those years with a meteor storm from this meteor shower. Wow. You will miss 100% of the meteor storms that you don't look for. So I'd be going out later on over the next week to see if you can see this meteor storm or possible meteor storm that might be happening. And on the night of November the 27th, 28th, the November Orionid peak with just a few meteors per hour. Details about meteor showers and meteor storms can be found online at the American Meteor Society, www.amsmeteors.org, or by going to the International Meteor Organization website at www.imo.net. And I am KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. A brief reminder, remember that the Texas Astronomical Society has telescopes set up somewhere in the Metroplex. Talked about it just a few minutes ago on almost every Saturday night. Once again, check their website, texasastro.org, for details. Now, I have a question for all of you. What kind of music do the Pilgrims like to listen to? Do you give up? We can't play music on the radio, but otherwise I would. Plymouth Rock! Do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any of the information? Or do you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign. If you have a question, comment, or, well, just need to get something off your chest.
Kilo Golf 5, Papa.
I see. I'm sure I knew this was going to happen. Mike, come now.
Oh, yes, I have a question for you, Chaz. The question is, what did the Beatles drink for breakfast? What did the Beatles drink for breakfast?
I'm not sure. Can you please inform us of that, Mike?
Beetle juice.
Should have known it. I already had the answer, didn't I? Thank you so much. So, as the moon wanes during the last half of November, so do these words. Until next time, keep on looking up so you know what is up. This is Chaz, KF5JHA, back to our net control, Tom, KE5ICX. Please help me get out of this.
Oh, will do, Chaz. The car is running out front, so just jump inside and race away. Thank you. Very interesting as always, and always more interesting than it probably should be. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. Let me go ahead and take a round of additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Oscar Bravo, Philip from Crandall.
Okay, I got K5KOB, Philip and Crandall. The usual suspects are all checking in. Well, let's see. Well, my goodness, we're going to fill this net out fully. Mike, KG5P, you have our constellation of the month. So the net is yours, sir. Go ahead from KE5ICX.
KE5ICX and the group KG5P. Thank you, Tom, and Good evening, everybody, and thank you, everybody, for checking in. Tonight's Miss Carolyn's constellation of the month is Pegasus, the winged horse. And Pegasus is almost directly overhead around midnight. Unfortunately, most of the stars are second and third and fourth magnitude, so it's probably unlikely that you can see them. Okay, now Miss Caroline has done similar constellations in the past. Pegasus is part of the whole Andromeda, Cassiopeia, Perseus, that whole thing. There's about half a dozen constellations that are in that old Greek myth, and you've probably all heard that at least once before from me, and maybe multiple times from other people. So what I want to talk about tonight is Pegasus, but maybe a little bit of contemporary history about Pegasus, and then some other interesting things that I did not know historical wise. Okay, contemporary wise, you probably all know about the Dallas Red Horse, the Flying Red Horse, which of course is Pegasus. I used to sit on top of the Magnolia Hotel in downtown Dallas for a number of years, from 1932 up till about 2000 or so. It's part of Magnolia Oil Company, and Magnolia Oil Company around 1960 was bought by Mobil, but the Pegasus still remained on top of the hotel. I had heard somewhere that they had actually turned it off during World War II because they didn't want it to be used for a target. And at one time, the Magnolia Hotel, at about 25 stories, was the tallest building in Dallas, and people had seen it from maybe up to 60 miles away. But I was able to find that information, so I'm not sure if it was just anecdotal or what. I did see a picture that was taken in 1942, which was after World War II had gotten started, and it was still on top of the Magnolia Hotel and lit up. Okay, around the year 2000, it disappeared, and nobody knew what happened to it for about 16 years, where it showed up in a warehouse somewhere around White Rock Lake. And today, it's at the Omni Hotel at ground level, so it's been restored, and all painted up and everything, and all the, rust and stuff has been cleaned off of it. So if you get a chance to, you can see the famous Flying Red Horse, the Pegasus, at the Omni Hotel. Okay, Pegasus was the offspring of the Olympic god Poseidon and the Gorgon Medusa. Go figure that, okay? If you remember the famous science fiction movie, Forbidden Planet, he talked about the Bellerophon. And the Bellerophon was a spaceship that the inhabitants of Altair 4 took or wanted to leave Altair 4 and go back to Earth, and it was destroyed on takeoff by the Id monsters. But that was the Bellerophon. And according to Greek mythology, Poseidon was caught by the Greek hero Bellerophon, who rode him to defeat the Chimera monster. I believe of a Gorgon. And if you watch Svengoolie, there was a movie tonight about the Gorgon with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. A little bit more history. The front half of Pegasus is upside down, and it's a fairly easy constellation to see, especially if there's an asterism, which was called the Great Square, which is marked by 4 stars. And that really makes it easy to identify, assuming you have dark skies, that is. Okay, the northeast star of the great square Alpheretz is actually shared by Pegasus and Andromeda, and it's actually on older star charts. It was designated both as Alpha Andromedae and Delta Pegasi. However, when the modern constellation boundaries were set, the star was officially assigned to Andromeda, which is on why modern sky charts, Pegasus has no star designated Delta because it's part of Andromeda. Okay, the four stars, including Alpheratz, which belongs to Andromeda, are Alpheratz, and that's the upper left. To the upper right is a star called Sheat, S-H-E-A-T, which is the upper arm. In the lower left, we have Algenib, which is the saddle. And on the lower right, actually, the one on the lower left, Algenib, is the side wing of it, I guess, the side wing. And on the lower right is Markab, which is the saddle. And if you can continue off to the west, the star in the end is called Enid, which is the nose. And is the seventh largest of the 88 constellations. Nevertheless, because most of it is off the Milky Way, it is rather poor. It's rather poor in objects, in deep sky objects. This deep sky object is the Messier object M15, a really nice globular cluster. And one of the pictures I sent to Tom was M15, which is a magnitude 6, which is very easy to see even with a pair of binoculars. We rediscovered the object. It was in 1746. It was originally discovered in 1746, but it was rediscovered in 1764. It lies about 30,600 light years away and has a diameter of about 130 light years, and it's very interesting and a very nice bright globular cluster with a very nice core and many star chains radiating outward like a splash of paint. Very interesting object, and this is going to be telescopic, so it's unlikely you can see it without a somewhat larger instrument, but it's called Stephan's Quartet. And it's a group of very faint galaxies to see even with a large instrument, but there's 5 of them, so if you can see a picture of it, it's quite interesting. Of NGC 7331, and this is the galaxy type SA. It's a spiral galaxy, looks quite a bit like the Milky Way. Has a large, well-extended and concentrated core containing a large nucleus, and that can be seen with 8 or 10 inch scopes at about 100 power. And the last one that I'd like to discuss here is NGC 7479, and this is a very bright barred spiral galaxy, and if you this before, you just don't know you didn't know what it was, but it's quite an interesting telescope. It has an S-shaped spiral pattern because it's generally believed that it's 2 other galaxies that actually collided in magnitude. So I get it. With a 10 inch scope, you can see it. It's quite faint, and it takes a larger 12 or 14 inch scope to see it any brighter. That was about it I had for Pegasus. As Miss Carolyn would say, go out and take a look around, and you'll enjoy it. So back to net. This is KG5P.
Hey, Very good, and thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. This is KE5ICX and net control for tonight's Skynet. Brenda, would you like to give a little bit of your Galactic Heart of Darkness article this evening? I think you can get a couple of paragraphs in, if you don't mind, from Science Daily. Miss Brenda, WB5OZL from KE5ICX.
Not at all. This is WB5OZL. The title of this is A Runaway Star Ejected from the Galactic Heart of Darkness. The discovery of the star, known as S5-HBS1, was made by Carnegie Mellon University Associate Professor of Physics, so it doesn't matter. Astronomers have wondered about high-velocity stars since their discovery only 2 decades ago. This one is unprecedented due to its high speed and close passage to the Earth, only 29,000 light years away. With this information, astronomers could track its journey back to the center of the Milky Way, where a 4 million solar mass black hole known as Sagittarius A lurks. This is super exciting, as we have long suspected that black holes can eject stars with high velocities. However, we had never had an unambiguous association of such a fast star with the galactic center, said Kopelsov, the lead author of this work. We think the black hole ejected the star with a speed of thousands of kilometers per second about 5 million years ago. The ejection happened at the time when humanity's ancestors were just learning to walk on 2 feet. Superfast stars can be ejected by black holes via the Hill's mechanism, proposed by astronomer Jack Hill 30 years ago. Originally, S5-HSV1 lived with a companion in a binary system, but they strayed too close to Sagittarius A and the gravitational tussle. The companion star was captured by the black hole while S5, etc., was thrown out at extremely high speed. Eject this cat off my shoulder. Anyway, we'll cut to the chase. Since one of the main science goal of S5 is to probe the stellar streams disrupting dwarf galaxies and globular clusters, we dedicated spare resources of the instrument to searching for interesting targets in the Milky Way, and voila, we found something amazing for free. With our future observations, hopefully we will find even more. Okay, we're about out of time. This is from ScienceDaily.com. Back to that, WB5OZL.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Miss Brenda. And this is KE5ICX and net control for tonight's Skynet. Hey, we got just enough time for any final check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, listened in, want to let us know you're out there, that would be nice. Please come now with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
State.
Okay, well, this was kind of a lean evening. We had 20 check-ins. That's a little less than we normally do, participating, including myself. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration on this net. The sky is never the limit. Always looking for net control stations for this and all the other DARC nets. I got an opening. If you would like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to and email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net, astronomy in general, on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5 into Charlie X-Ray, Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:29 local time. 7-3 everybody, and I'll be returning the repeater to normal use. Come back in about 5 minutes, almost exactly 5 minutes, and we will discuss tonight's Afterglow movie net movie, which is, what is it? The Lone Gunman pilot, the first episode of The Lone Gunman, the first spin-off series from the X-Files. See you then. This is KE5ICX. I'm clear.
F5, JHA, Tom. We can add one more person. JJ has been listening in, N5IMS, if you want to add him, so we can bump up the number by one.
Over in Carrollton, I've got him. I used to be 21 once. That was a very, very long time ago. Thanks, Jazz. KE5ICX.
is WB50ZL. I will be net control tonight for the Afterglow movie net. Tonight's net is, tonight's flying feature is the Lone Gunman Pilot. KE5ICX, would you like to give us a synopsis of this TV show?
Well, Brenda, yes, I will. This is KE5ICX. So, what is it? Well, first off, this is November crappy movie series, crappy television series pilots and episodes. So this one actually isn't all that bad. The Lone Gunmen are a trio of fictional characters. They are Richard Ringo Langley, Melvin Frohike, and John Fitzgerald Byers. Yeah, I know, John Fitzgerald. Well, there's a reason for that. Who appeared in recurring roles on the American television series The X-Files, and who starred in the short-lived spin-off The Lone Gunmen. Their name was derived from the Warren Commission's conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald was solely responsible for the assassination of John Kennedy. Described as counterculture patriots, they are ardent conspiracy theorists, government watchdogs, and computer hackers who frequently assist essential X-Files characters Mulder and Scully, though they sometimes have their own adventures. The Lone Gunmen author a news publication called The Lone Gunmen, once referred to as the Magic Bullet Newsletter, a pejorative reference to the single bullet theory, and like the group's name, a reference to the Kennedy's assassination, to which Mulder loyally subscribed. None of them have day jobs. They rely on financial backers who believe in their cause and the revenue generated by subscriptions to their paper. They share a loft apartment where they also work and use a 1974 through 79 VW transporter to commute. Now, let's see here if I can find the pilot episode. Please stand by, and I'll give you a description of that. All right, well, this is short and sweet, I guess. While the Lone Gunmen are thwarted in their attempt to steal a computer chip by Eves Adele Harlow, Bayers receives news of his father's death, and the trio soon find themselves unraveling a government conspiracy concerning an attempt to fly a commercial aircraft into the World Trade Center, with increased arms sales for the United States as the intended result. Yeah, that's it, kids. That's the description, and yeah, that's kind of frightening. The original air date was March 4th of 2001, so this was before the 9/11 disaster. So that alone makes it kind of creepy. So that's it for me. KE5ICX, back to World Control.
Oh, I don't want world control. I just want to take care of this itty-bitty net, and I'll be fine. Alrighty, here is the game plan, if you don't know. In case you're new, we take check-ins, and then we discuss the plot of the movie, followed by characters, and then special effects. Or anything else you want to talk about. We're not married to all that, but that seems to have worked in the past. So we're going to take short time, low power check-ins first. Your call sign, your name, and your location. Please come now.
Richardson.
Forgot to mention, tell us if you saw the show.
Oh, yes, I did. I'm sorry. Yes, I did see the show. KG5P.
Oh, okay, KG5P Mike, who did see the show. Let's take regular check-ins now.
Tango Niner Victoria, Michael in Plano, and yes, I saw this thing. And by the way, I have to say that you're sounding excellent tonight, Brenda. Are you using that bank robber microphone of yours?
Indeed I am. I put an old pantyhose over the mic, and thanks to you, Michael, for suggesting that to me. Okay, other check-ins.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, we had a double in there. We're going to have to circle back. WT9V, Michael, who did see the movie. Then Randy and Rowlett, I missed your call. Would you please come back with that?
05 Golf Lima Delta. Rowlett, I did not see the movie.
Okay, K5GLV. And then KE5ICX Tom, who did see the movie. Next check-ins, please.
Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weatherford. I did see it. Kilo Golf 5 Papa Mike November James Fort Worth. I did see the movie.
Okay, we got KG5BZWJ, who did see the movie. And I think it's KG... That doesn't sound right. James, please come back with your call.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Papa Mike November James Fort Worth. I saw the movie.
Sorry about that. KG5PMN. Do we have anybody on Echolink who would like to check in?
Kilo India 6, Lima Zulu Quebec, Michael from Dallas. And no, I did not see the movie.
Kilo Golf 5 Zulu Lima Mike Hector in Fort Worth via Echolink, and I did not watch the movie.
Okay, I think the first one was Kilo India 5, Lima Zulu Quebec Michael. Did I get your call right?
Almost right, except I came out of 6 land and I still have a 6 call sign, not a 5 call sign. But KI6 LZQ, back to net.
then KG5, I think, ZL Hector. Is that correct? LM Hector. My apologies. Okay, anybody else want to check in? Well, alrighty then. Let's dive in. Let's start with the plot. KG5P Mike, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Brenda. Oh, I apologize. I was not paying attention when you were calling for short time and low power check-ins. I was looking up Hugo Gern's spec on the internet, so I'm neither short time nor low power. So go ahead and put me to the end, and I'll just wait my turn. So back to net KG5P.
All right, we can do that. Next up, WT9V Michael, go ahead.
Oh, great. This is Michael, not your net control for the night. Basically, one can summarize the plot with, excuse me. You can summarize the plot with, there's a mystery, the heroes investigate, there's a long bout of not very amusing ineptitude, and the day is saved. Reportedly, that's what the entire series was about. The plot is like good Swiss cheese. It's full of holes. And just a few of them that came to mind. Seriously, people running around on the roof don't set off alarms? How many cameras does the security people need into their little secure room? Why don't they just have an up-down switch on the winch control instead of trying to do it with software? Really? Just asking for trouble. When is Hollywood going to recognize or notice that cars rarely burst into flames in a collision? Automatics in the gun range. Best done by RoboCop. And then the BIOS system. Anybody that knows computers knows BIOS stands for the basic input-output system. So much of the dialogue is just painful to listen to. It's like they said, give us some buzzwords. We'll randomly throw them into the script. That's about all I got. Halfway through, I just kind of, nah, I can't do this anymore. I watched it, but my brain kind of turned to mush. Back to that, WT9P.
All right, K5GLD. Randy, you didn't see the movie. Did you want to make any comments?
I didn't see the movie, but whatever Michael says, I second that. K5GLD.
Okay. KE5ICX. Tom, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Brenda. I didn't feel it was all that bad. First off, this is a spin-off from The X-Files. This is the first. There were actually two. A second one called Millennium came out, which was more weighty. This one is sort of more of a tongue-in-cheek. I see the plot, especially in this first episode, really is, especially with the breaking in and getting the chip and dropping down from the harness from above and the lasers and all that stuff. That's been done so many times in so many movies and so many television series, and that it was obvious that it was just a self-referential thing, and things funny happen, I guess, with the fact that he couldn't get away in the process. I'm okay with that. I think one of the most interesting things, though, is at the very beginning, they talk about Big Brother, in essence, that this new chip is coming out
that is sort of an intel inside without it being a no-tell inside. We won't talk about that. And the fact that it's going to be spying on us as humans, and the lone gunmen say, wake up, this is going to be terrible. This was in 2001. They were right. The fact that we are monitored everywhere we go and everything we do is definitely a part of this. And it is mentioned, but very quickly, and then we go into the fun and frolic that goes with it. The plot itself, of course, we're talking about, conspiracy theories, and we can't just have a simple solution to something. We've got to have a deeper plot, something more insidious. And that was kind of fun because we found that the father wasn't dead of one of the lone gunmen. He was alive and had taken his assassin, who managed to trip and shoot himself and kill himself accidentally, which I thought was kind of hilarious in a morose sort of way. But somehow that seemed to make sense because, I don't know, World War I started that way, so why not the lone gunman? That part of it, and then being able to, figure out the plot and the fact that there was that this little glitch in the whole thing occurred, and then that changed the whole direction of the thing. The father didn't get killed. So that was of some interest, and of course probably the big elephant in the room, of course, is the 727, which, by the way, well, no, that's a technical thing. I'll get to that later. But the 727 barely climbs out from the World Trade Center before nearly averting disaster. Although I think the easier answer would have been to just simply turn the plane to the right or left or fly between the two towers. That could have been kind of cool in its own way, but that didn't happen. Another thing, I guess, with the plot, I'll stick this one in here because it's kind of fun. They never name any of the organizations. You don't have an FBI, CIA, none of that. It's always just referred to whenever the lone gunmen discuss the government. It's the government. They don't say if it's federal, local, state, none of that. It's just the government. And you're with the government, aren't you? And we never get any more specific than that, which I think is kind of hilarious in its own way. So I kind of liked it. I've not seen it since it was on the air in 2001. And I guess the entire series is available over on YouTube for free. You don't have to sign up or nothing. So if you want to watch additional episodes. They did have, by the way, a repeat visit. One of the lone gunmen showed up last summer in one of the new X-Files episodes. The one with the long hair and kind of creepy. Well, they're all creepy, but the one with the long hair and creepy. Back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Okay, KG5BZWJ, go ahead.
Oh, this is KG5BZW. I was afraid I was next. I don't know. I want to look at it like Tom looks at it, and, if you consider some of the TV that's already existing and is successful, I mean, I don't know if shows. Nah, I don't know. I'm not a regular watcher of broadcast TV these days, but I'm just thinking of some later series that the hacking's just. I mean, you think this one's bad? Well, I mean, I can think of at least one series that is like. Why? What? It doesn't make sense. But anyway, I don't know. There's not much I really can say. It clearly is a show that if it wasn't for the but that happened aspect, this would be forgotten and probably is forgotten. It's like the funny thing about some of these things is they get things that right. I mean, they almost get things right, and then they go make a left turn or right turn, upturn, whatever. It just gets really wrong. I should have taken notes because there's things I could comment on it, like everything from the very beginning. You got the chip that sends stuff to the government, and it's like, no, that doesn't. There's just too much that has to be assumed for your data to be processed. And okay, maybe you can have a modem in the chip. That's not a thing that's not necessarily a thing. I mean, heck, you can have a Raspberry Pi that bit things to one of its lines. If you just do it right, you bitting a FM station or whatever, and probably some other modulations too. So, stuff. It's not entirely impossible that a chip could have some nefarious aspects to it, and that's something that's even modern day people. There's always been a question about chips and aspects, and in fact, it seems like I want to say there was even one of the Intel microprocessors. Oh goodness! There can be some interesting aspects to the things that they. That's just I don't want to get too caught up in some of that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna reset. Okay, hopefully that was long enough. But there's just so many aspects of this show that it just didn't make sense. They just introduced that whole element. It's like it didn't really follow. I could see why, but it being a show, you might want to introduce some stuff that didn't necessarily logically follow from the rest of the show. The whole, I don't know, they kind of jumped the shark a bit to introduce the father, not really dead subplot and all that, but I don't know. I don't want to hate on it too much because even though I agree there's a lot of holes, it actually was a little bit entertaining. Just have a few beers with this, watching this, and kind of laugh at its silliness. Except for that one thing, I'm almost wondering because it wasn't on all of our radars. I'm going to reset one more time. The whole running into the World Trade Center. Yes, that's a very creepy aspect of this show. That's the only creepy aspect to it, and I can't even say that I know for certain that wasn't even something that was might have been known in certain aspects of the intelligence. What am I trying to say? That somebody might plot that is what I'm trying to say. Not the BS truth or nonsense. I don't even want to get into that here, and I probably end up accidentally cursing or whatever because I'm not dumb. But anyway, I actually lost my train of thought there. So I think I've said all that I really wanted to say. Minus a few parts I had to keep from saying, only trying to save some time. Now I'm just rambling. I'll hand it over to the next person, KG5BZW.
Okay, KG5 PMN. James, go ahead.
This is KG5PMN. Yeah, I kind of got two plots out of the movie, actually. First plot was them coming up with the thing about the chip and trying to get the chip, and then after they start digging into the chip, then he finds out his father is supposedly killed and then not killed. Kind of had an issue with the car being able to drive by itself. I don't know how well how well they had computers in cars that they could tap into or do whatever to make the car drive by itself back in 2001. And then the aircraft, flying the aircraft into the World Trade Center, I kind of had an issue with the way they did that. I had it clear the World Trade Center because you just can't make an airplane just turn straight up, not one of those big jumbo jets turn straight up that quick. And the other operator said, it would have been better if they'd veered to the left or the right and missed the tower and kind of kept on a level flight. But anyway, then at the end they come back to the chip. KG5PMN, back to the net.
All right, KI6LZQ. Michael, you didn't see the movie. Do you want to make any comments?
I was just kind of curious because one of my favorite songs by Sting and the Police, about every breath you take, if you listen to it carefully, probably would have matched the theme of this thing very good, because it's definitely kind of leaning to the side of the fence of the government's watching you, no matter what, and they got security cameras everywhere. But, oh well, I'll just kind of leave it at that for the moment.
Okay, I assumed you turn it back to the net. Next up, KG5ZLM Hector. Didn't see the movie, but do you want to say anything?
This is Hector. No, I didn't watch the movie. I'm just enjoying the conversation, and I haven't even been able to tell what movie you guys are talking about, other than it's something about a conspiracy theory.
Next left.
And
Left turn.
and so just listening in. This is Hector, KG5 Zulu Lima Mike. Back to the net.
Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, Brenda. It's KG5P. Well, I did find this one of the more interesting movies that we've seen in a while. For a number of reasons, actually, it was very prophetic. I mean, this thing came out about 6 months before 9/11. Jay or somebody had mentioned, on the Facebook page, that we'd all seen this before. Well, we did, but kind of in reverse order. The difference was we had domestic terrorists here, and of course the events leading up to it were totally different. But the fact that the plot or the business about attacking the World Trade Center, I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I had to look up and see when the movie was actually made. It's almost like, is this life, imitating art, or is it art imitating life? I don't know. See, I always wonder about that. It's like those old James Bond movies with, Dr. No and the three blind mice went over the cliff with their hearse. The car burst into flames. That very rarely ever happens. But I guess it makes for good TV. I was also interested in this Octium chip. And if you've been around computers, or certainly personal computers, these 4, which is the first Intel chip, and then that was a 4-bit processor, and then they came up with an 8-bit processor they called the 8008, and then they enhanced that to the 8080, and then they had the 8086, which was a 16-bit version of the 8-bit 8080, and then they went on to 186, the 286, the 386, and the 486. By the time they got to the 586, they changed the name to Pentium. And then, I don't know, maybe there's a few things that were left between Pentium and Octium, so they come up with this hypothetical Optium. And people, in a sense that, yes, cell phones will do that, and that Chinese Huawei, or however you pronounce it, the company that makes stuff and internet stuff that Trump doesn't want to do business with, ostensibly because the stuff's made in China. You don't know what kind of time bombs or what kind of secret packages they're putting into the things. And that was, I guess, the concept behind this so-called Octium. One thing that bothered me was, here's a standalone chip, but they just stole the chip, and now all of a sudden it plugs into some off-the-shelf motherboard, and that's not the way it really works. Typically, when a new chip is produced, they have to have a new motherboard that goes with it, because it probably has a different socket. It may have, it does have a lot of different electronics and different circuits in it, so you can't just take next year's chip and plug it into last year's motherboard. It just doesn't, that's just not the way it works. Let's see, I was writing things down here. Now I was going to get into talking about Hugo Gernsback, because I don't want to digress too far, but where we're in right now has been going on for 12 years, and it reminded me of a Joe Haldeman book called The Forever War. Actually, it was a series of books called The Forever Wars, and that's what seems to be what we're into. Joe Haldeman also wrote some Star Trek novels, and he also won the Gernsback Award, Nebula Award, but I think I'm getting too far off topic. But, yeah, I didn't really like the way the movie ended, because it was just the first of 11 more. So it didn't really have a nice, clean ending, I didn't think. But, I don't know. I probably won't watch the rest of the series, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Although, as everybody said, there were a lot of holes in the plot. I just found the thing very prophetic, considering what we know today. So that's all I had back to that. This is KG5P.
Okay, well, it's my turn. Not too much to add to what everybody else had said. The plot was a little contrived to me. Probably the best thing is the assassin shooting himself. That was hilarious. But I think they had to play really loose with the computer facts in order to hammer the plot into shape. And we're all going, oh, that's so lame. That's not the way it works. It's not, I think most everybody in this club has some computer experience. And it's just painful. And, of course, anything in a movie with airplanes is done wrong. I'm not sure, but I think that FO only had 2 stripes. So, they said that one of these characters came back in the X-Files. I had thought they all died in the X-Files series, but hey, it's television. Nobody ever really dies. Okay, I'm reminded to explain what movie we are TV show we have watched. It's called The Lone Gunman Pilot, and it was a TV series, short-lived, back in 2001. So we're going to move on now to characterization. We will start with Michael, WT9V. Go ahead.
Oh, this is going to be short because I ain't got nothing hardly, not nothing here. The only standout character for me was the short guy that took all the pratfalls. You know, plop on the ground, face down in the mud, falling down in the, well, I guess first he fell down on the carpet and in the mud. And it just, it's like, couldn't they have spread the abuse around a little bit? Other than that, I thought they were all very unmemorable. What are we talking about again? WT9V.
The show is called The Lone Gunman Pilot. All right, next, K5GLD Randy. Didn't see it, but do you have any comments? Well, he may have left us, so KE5ICX, Tom, you go ahead with characterization.
All right, Brenda, this is KE5ICX. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Since it is a television series, there is usually some sort of a Bible for writers for the series. So let me read a little bit from it. We got John Fitzgerald Byers. He's portrayed by Bruce Harwood. Byers was born in Sterling, Virginia on November 22nd, 1963. Does that day sound familiar? Yeah. It's the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. He was named after the fallen president. His parents were originally planning to name him Bertram after his father. Byers idolized his namesake, but he always had suspicions about the real cause of his death. Byers worked as a public affairs officer for the Federal Communications Commission, maybe you've heard of it, the FCC, in Baltimore until May of 1989. Byers appears to have some working knowledge of medicine, genetics, and chemistry. Next we have Melvin Frohike. He's portrayed by Tom Braidwood. Frohike was born circa 1953 in Pontiac, Michigan. I think I know where that is. Prior to joining the Lone Gunman, he was an acclaimed tango dancer in Miami, or I'm Giving Up the Tango. He toured the country with hippies before founding Frohike Electronics Corporation, specializing in cable intrusion hardware. Now, this guy may seem crazy and different, but I know of Melvin Frohike. I really do. He may even be listening to us this evening. I'm not kidding. Next up, Richard Ringo Langley, portrayed by Dean Haglund. Langley was born in 1965 in Saltville, Nebraska. He showed an aptitude for computers from an early age, which was frowned upon by his parents. Langley is the Lone Gunman's expert in computers. Yeah, he's the one that does all the clicking, hacking, and programming. He is possibly the most paranoid of the gunmen, taking all incoming phone calls, including those from Fox Mulder. So now that you know the background of the
three main characters in this thing, I can see this. I mean, I didn't mind the characters at all. I thought that Langley was probably rather interesting in his whole approach to everything. He had a tendency to, and they mentioned the paranoia that goes along with it. Yeah, I'll buy into that. And he certainly is very worried about everyone. And in the opening sequence, you see him, the one that pops up and starts asking really difficult questions. And the person on the tour says, "Are you sure you're in the right place? Maybe you're not." And of course, that causes problems. The one that plays Byers, John Fitzgerald Byers, probably comes closest to our character. Oh, I'm sorry, no, Melvin Frohike from Pontiac, Michigan. He's kind of interesting. He's sort of a low what do you call it? Low energy character of sorts, but he's the one that adds the gravitas to the whole thing. He's the one that pretty much keeps everybody under control, even though he went hippie dipping in the 60s. But that kind of makes sense when you think about it. He was born in 1953, so he's older than me. He's way older than me. Well, not way older, but older. Since none of them have any sort of visible income of any sort, I think that makes it kind of interesting in a way, too. They have a tendency to kind of go their own way, and that's cool. I don't mind that. But it also makes them somewhat impulsive because they're not grounded in an 8-to-5 job, so they can do what they want. And that, I think, kind of seeds the stories that are to come. And as such, I think the characters are ripe for a lot of fun. So I don't remember any of the episodes. I do remember this particular episode because it was the pilot. But it's been so long ago, I haven't seen any of the others. And maybe I will. I think it'd be fun. It's definitely tongue-in-cheek, and they do play it that way. And I'm okay with that. Overall, I didn't mind it. I know others didn't think it was all that great, but I didn't think it was all that bad, you know? It's like my homemade wine. It's not terrible. Back to net control, KE5ICX.
Alrighty, next up, KG5BZW, Jay.
This is KG5BZW. I don't know that I have much to say after Tom's little introductions to the characters and all there. I have to say, I don't have to say anything. I'm trying to think of something to say. Oh, shoot. Now I'm wishing I had two. I'm on my phone now. I wish I had another screen so I could refer back to some of the characters, but I'm not sure that there's much I really can say. I just looked at his name and I forgot it. Certainly, I saw the actor's profile, and certainly he looks a lot better with a regular haircut. I just think of it, the blonde haired guy with the cleft chin. The guy with the chin, and that's literally how I thought of it through the episode. It's like, oh, okay. Also, the guy that had the monologue, or not the monologue, the interruption to the that meeting, corporate meeting or whatever. And of course, I'll say him and the short guy, who probably is I'm calling him short. Might be just as tall as him. I don't know, but yeah, you had the guy that took the fault. I am not contributing a single thing. I am trying, and it's just not helping I just, I won't say they were forgettable, but it's it's kind of like the whole show. It just kind of like, um, I will say it was kind of interesting the whole, even though this is not character based, the whole Zine kind of deal that they had publishing that kind of called back to, I don't know, 2600 and stuff like that. But I know, not characters. I'm rambling. I sometimes I just don't know when to shut up. And that's a cue that I will. KG5EDW.
Alrighty, KG5PMN. James, go ahead.
This is KG5PMN. Yeah, I don't know that any of the characters actually were real standouts. Kind of couldn't follow. I don't know if the guy that was initially talking about the chip in the opening was what actually happened to him, and after he had his, I guess, his seizure or whatever happened to him when he went to the floor. I don't really know that they followed up on that too well. And then the guy that was dropped down to try to rescue the chip after security evidently went in and got him. What happened to him? Couldn't really follow either one of those two, and doesn't have a whole lot else to, real exciting for the characters. Back to the net, KG5PMN.
Alright, next, KI6LZQ. Michael, didn't see it, but do you have something to say?
Nothing to contribute at this stage, but thank you for allowing me to participate, KS6LZQ.
Okay, KG5ZLM Hector. You didn't see it, but do you have anything to say? Okay, moving on. KG5P Mike, go ahead. Characters.
Okay, KG5P. Well, not much on the characters. I don't know. There's that froh hike. Froh means, in German, it means glad. So I'm not sure what he was glad about. I'm always amazed by somebody that he's a computer hacker and he can hack into any computer in 30 seconds or less. You know, he just sits down and a few clicks on the keyboard and he's got it. He's hacked into it. I don't know. I don't know if it works that way or not. I don't think so. Also, the babe spy girl, she goes into first this man with a beard goes into the men's room, and then 30 seconds later, out comes out this hot babe with a mini dress. I don't know. I guess to be a female spy, you got to be a hot babe and an expert in automatic weapons. I don't know. I don't know anybody like that, but I don't get around much. And again, I can't remember all the names, but the son, his dad was the character that was supposed to have been killed and all that. He kind of had daddy issues, I guess. I don't know. That was part of it too, was his estrangement issue with his father. But that's about all I had. There wasn't much in characterization there, just the usual trite characters. So that's all I had. Back to that KG5P.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. Characters. I didn't mind them. I thought they were kind of interesting. I kind of enjoyed this show altogether. It moved along well, and it's no worse than anything else in terms of accuracy. I think it was just too short for me to really get into it. Dan was kind of going like, oh, what was that about? But these characters were really popular in the TV show, which is why they got the X-Files, which is why they got a spin-off. Somehow they resonate with people and they like them. The female, they made a point of her name being an anagram for Lee Harvey Oswald, and I just kind of didn't get the point of that. She was a femme fatale thief, and I guess you have to have one of those in every show, a girl without too many clothes and firing these automatic weapons. I guess they think that's what people like to see. I don't know. All right. Do we have any more check-ins?
Kilo Golf 5, Alpha Hotel Juliet.
Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo. David in Dallas.
Okay, KG5AHJ, your name, please?
The name here is Frank, and I'm currently in the call.
What was that last comment, please?
I'm currently in the call.
All right, did you see the show?
I did not copy you, Crash, there. I don't have anything for the movie. I was just checking in. This is Kilo Golf 5, Alpha Hotel Juliet.
All right, well, welcome to the net, KG5AHJ. Then, W5EDB David, did you see the show?
I did see the show. However, I will invoke my privilege under the Fifth Amendment and not comment about it, as it may self-incriminate me in some way. But I did want to get on to let you know that about 5 minutes ago I saw a fairly bright meteor, and I don't know if it's from the Leonid meteor shower, which was not supposed to be very good. But that's the main reason I got on, was just to say it was about due north and about 20 degrees elevation to 10 degrees, and it was fairly bright. I'm pretty sure it was a meteor and not a firework. That's all I have. W5EBB.
Oh, that's very exciting. Well, you just never know. They show up at random sometimes, even when it's not a shower. Well, I'm sorry you don't have comments, and I really apologize for not asking for additional check-ins last round. It's my fault. So we don't want you to incriminate yourself. I know everybody says you're an agent of the U.S. government, but we'll keep your secret. All right, back to the top. We're going to talk about special effects. WT9V, go ahead.
Oh, so now you've forgotten my call. Fine. Fine, be that way. I guess turnabout's fair play. Special effects. What special effects? I mean, they had people poking at keyboards. I don't know. I don't really have anything for special effects, but as far as everything else, the dialogue had something for both aviation enthusiasts and computer geeks to hate. And I think that Sneakers, 10 years before, well, 9 years before, did a much better job at hacking. I think I may go watch that this evening. 17IV.
All right. Well, since the special effects were not a big part of this movie, you can talk about anything you want to talk about. So next, K5GLD, Randy. Again, you didn't see it, but do you want to have comments? All right, KE5ICX, Tom, help us out, please.
Oh, I will. Well, yeah, the special effects there aren't really a lot, just a lot of computers and keyboards and people doing things with computers and keyboards. Although there was the cockpit or the flight deck of the 727, they did get that right, actually. Well, a 707, 727 cockpit pretty much looks identical. The is a little different. But in any case, there is a flight engineer on board, and they forgot to mention that anything about a flight engineer who's supposed to be sitting just to the right as the lone gunmen come into the flight deck and tell them that this plane cannot be flown. He's nowhere to be found. Maybe he was in the restroom, the loo, the head, whatever. In any case, he wasn't there. And the pilots, this also suggests something as well. The fact that, easy entry into the flight deck, which really was true. I mean, they didn't lock anything. Heck, I remember a few flights before 9/11 when you sat in the aircraft, the door was open as you took off. These were prop planes, so that alone was kind of completely different, a whole different world than what we have today after 9/11. But in any case, I thought the idea is, well, let's put it this way, there's no real special effects because it's sort of done without any of the crazy stuff that you normally see. It's conspiracy theory. So you're trying to make something out of nothing, and that's the whole point of the show. So you're not going to get a lot in the way of special effects. It's just not going to happen. But in any case, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, I'm watching The Invaders, and they just did the same entry to the scenes from scene 1 to scene 3. It's the same opening with the cars and all that coming into play. I don't know, I just noticed stuff like that, especially when it's bad. Who picked this movie, program? Whoever they are, we need a replacement in any case. So that's all I got. Not much on the special effects side except what I just said. KE5ICX.
Alrighty, KG5BCW, special effects or anything else, go ahead.
Okay, KG5BCW. I have to disagree. There were special effects. I mean, okay, yeah, some dumb ones that have already been covered, especially because I have to rant about it. It's like, okay, they clearly didn't want to model two buildings, so they just found a model of a building top so that a plane could somehow climb over it or whatever. Yeah, I guess that's the special effect that everybody thinks of when they talk about special effects. But there's also the effects, the computer interfacing, which it's an effect. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't call it special, but it's made up for the show. It's and it's pretty standard nonsense. I mean, really nonsense. that whole vaulted ceiling, or not, maybe that's not the right term. I'm almost wondering how many times that room, wherever the heck that is, it can't be a secure location. Just doesn't make sense as a secure location. Why would you have so much open space? And anyway, whatever. It's many times done before. Blah blah blah. Of course, there's the blood, the UV light with the recently shampooed, which I don't know. I actually haven't tried shampoo with a UV light. I've got one right here. I know it's having a lot of phosphorus in your fluid would help with that, but whatever. And that's where I stopped. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was awful, but it was awful in a predictable, awful way that just it wasn't. Like I said, there's shows that done worse, so I can't really complain. Even it's like I'll take my crap if it's meet the minimal level of crappiness. Okay, now okay. I think I swear it's just sleep. I'm ready to sleep. That's all. And that's all I got. KG5BZW, back to net.
Okay, KG5PM and James, do you have any comments on characters or special effects or anything else?
This is Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike November, and yeah, well, I don't know if you want to call her shooting that automatic, two automatic pistols, one in each hand, special effects, but kind of disagree with that. She was shooting an actual full automatic, and I would think she'd have difficulty controlling them like she was shooting them because of natural muzzle climb when you're shooting an automatic weapon, but I guess that's just the movies for you. They had to make it look good. And like I said before, I disagreed with the aircraft making it look like it was doing almost a vertical climb to get over the building, and planes just don't fly that way, especially that fast. In response to Jay's thing about the blood, they do have luminol out, which they can spray on the carpet. I don't know if they had it back out back then when this movie was filmed. I don't know, but they've got luminol out, which you can put a ultraviolet, I believe it's ultraviolet light over it with the lights out in the room, and it glows pretty good. The blood will glow pretty good. Back to the net, KG5PMN.
All right. KI6LZQ Michael. What do you have? You didn't see it, but comments.
The only thing I would like to comment on is, as bad as y'all are making it sound, it just sounds like one of those crazy, goofy shows that I'd go watch just to laugh at and watch straight for entertainment. And you're kind of inspiring me to go, I got to see it now. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign out from the net and crash out for the night, but have a good night, KS6LZQ.
Okay. Let's see. I think Hector's gone. He didn't answer last time. KG5P Mike. We're talking about special effects or anything else you want. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll make these comments real short because I'm out of material here. I think the junkyard was pretty, that was a pretty convincing looking junkyard. I don't know how they reproduced it, but boy, that looked like a real junkyard to me. So the special effects were pretty good. As far as the airplane goes, I don't know, maybe they rented an hour or so in a flight simulator. And so at least they got the instruments right. Otherwise, there weren't any special effects that I can recall anyway. So that's all I had. Back to net, KG5P.
All right, KG5-8HJ. I'm sorry, I think you said you didn't have comments, but you can go ahead if you do. Okay, nothing heard. And W5EBB would like to know if you've seen any UFOs after your meteor.
I do have a few comments, if I could go ahead.
Absolutely, we'd love to hear them.
Well, I got my directions off by 90 degrees. I was actually looking east, due east, and I have not seen another meteor yet, but it was bright, and east is the direction of the Leonids, apparently, but it was very low in the sky, about, like I said, about 20 degrees elevation. Now, I did watch this, and I will make some comments about the special effects. The junkyard was real. It was actually a real junkyard where they disposed of cars, and the actor Tom Braidwood, the short guy, actually was the one who did the face plant into the mud, and he went all full bore, and he said to the director he would do it once, but only once, but he did it so well on the first take that that's all they needed, and he really did that, which was kind of funny. Now, the special effects, I did watch a couple of the other episodes in this Lone Gunman series, and they weren't as good as this one, and they certainly didn't have the same production value. For this particular episode, they actually got special approval to take nighttime helicopter footage of the Twin Towers. So they actually did take exclusive, specific footage for this episode and had to get approval for it. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the aspect, the special effect, or the plot aspect of being able to remote control an airliner had actually already been done before. You know, you may recall in 1984, the remote-controlled Boeing 720 to test the FM-9 fuel additive to see if it would prevent a fire, which it didn't because the remote control pilot didn't crash it right. I think that was what some contended, since it did burst into flames. But that was from 1984. So yeah, there's a precedent for being able to remote control an airliner. But anyway, those are the only comments I wanted to add. W5EBB.
KG5P comment.
KG5P, go ahead.
I know that was a real junkyard. I was just kidding. Hope you didn't believe me when I thought they were simulating a junkyard. KG5P.
Well, one other comment about that. It was a real junkyard, and it was really, really nasty. You know, it had oil and gunk and no telling what. But what they did for that particular scene was they carved out, you know, an area that was clean mud. And so he had a mark. The actor had a mark as he was running along where to take the dive so he would land in clean mud. W5EBB.
Okay, yeah, we always love to fall in the clean mud. This is WB50ZL. My comment is the car crash was very realistic as it burst into flames immediately, and the airplane footage was just really excellent also. So special effects, yeah, they got all that right. Okay, think we're about done. Does anybody have any more comments? Just come down with your call sign and we'll go through in rotation. Usually I have to turn off the lights to make everybody leave. Okay, K5 ICX, what are we doing next week?
All right, listen up really carefully. This is KE5 ICX. The phone rang again, and Adama answered. Hello? We would like to offer you a wonderful opportunity for a retirement home on Caprica. You and your family will enjoy the luxury of condo living in a gated community with people you feel comfortable with. Adama gave the order. The Galactica jumped into hyperspace and away from the robocaller. It would be another 33 minutes before they would find him and call him with yet another offer. The Galactica was pushed further and further into deep space. Join us for the last and final crappy TV series entry for November, Battlestar Galactica 33, from the 2003 reboot. That's next week at 10:30 p.m. This is KE5ICX, back to Galactic Control.
Ooh, I love both Battlestars. I can't wait for this. All righty. Thanks to everybody who participated. We're going to close this out. This is WB5OZL Clear.
EBB. The net's over. I just wanted to make another comment. I just saw another meteor. This one not as bright, but a longer streak. Again, just to the right of the moon. And so it's pretty active right now. And I'm in a downtown location. So you might want to have a look. W5 EBB.